by ChoiceCenter Leadership University is where emotional intelligence meets extraordinary results. Founded in 1998 in Las Vegas, ChoiceCenter has empowered thousands of people around the world to unlock their full potential through experiential trainings and coaching. Here on EQU, we dive into the inspiring stories and transformative journeys from both famous faces and everyday heroes. Graduates who have harnessed emotional intelligence to have transformed their lives in ways that are nothing short of remarkable. From skyrocketing their careers to deepening relationships, balancing creative pursuits with focusing on health, finances, and family. Our guests share the real-world impact of EQ on living a life you author and love. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and equipped with insights that can serve you to create radical results in your own life. If you're ready to dream, declare, and deliver, let EQU show you what's possible. Our guest today is a visual storyteller who has lived a life of bold pivots, emotional resilience, and unwavering creativity.
She's a successful entrepreneur, a devoted mother of three, a photographer to the stars, and someone who turns devastating challenges into fuel for growth. She's also a proud graduate of ChoiceCenter's LV42 more than 22 years ago, way back in 2003.
Brittany Rogers Hanson is the founder of Runaway With Me, a multi-million-dollar destination wedding company that has planned thousands of unforgettable events around the world for grateful brides and grooms. Her creative roots go even deeper. She studied commercial photography in the Art Institute of Colorado and launched BLR Photography back in 2002. She credits her 100 days of EQ leadership training for skyrocketing that business and tripling her income at just 23 years old. Her young talent took her to incredible places, photographing Steve Wynn's wedding, the UFC's Dana White and his family, the wedding of Tom Breitling in Lake Como, Italy, and so much more.
Amidst all of her incredible success, life has also thrown Brittany some massive curveballs. From losing her home in the 2017 Napa Valley wildfires, to having COVID halt her wedding planning business, to navigating the challenges of raising her son Kai, who is autistic and nonverbal. She's turned every challenge into transformation and every heartbreak into purpose. Brittany's journey is raw, real, and deeply inspiring. Today, she not only leads with love, she teaches her team, who are also ChoiceCenter graduates, to use AI to 10x their impact and lead a security company with her husband and high school sweetheart, Eric, who is a graduate of LV41.
Brittany is a true leader, a mom, wife, and a creative force to be reckoned with. And today we are going to gather her insights on entrepreneurship, EQ, parenting, and using AI to transform life and workflows. We also might enroll her to give us some iPhone photography tips. Brittany Rogers Hanson, welcome to EQU.
Thank you. You guys too.
Brittany, I've known you for so long. I think I met you the first time at your Aunt Kelly's wedding shower. You and Brookie were little girls. I think you were going to be like flower girls or junior bridesmaids. And that was the first time I ever met you. Wow, what a long time ago. And what a journey you have had into success with your family and your business. Tell us about your life before EQ and how you found your way to LV42 at just 24 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful that I found ChoiceCenter when I was really young. I just can't imagine my life without it. I was a baby. I had a toddler at the time. My Aunt Kelly, as you know, is LV1. So good friend of yours, and you're kind of my pseudo aunt. Can't remember when I didn't know you. So obviously when ChoiceCenter came to Las Vegas, my aunt had us at a guest event right away. My husband and I were just starting our family. I had finished art school and looking to build a photography career. And we went to a guest event. And of course, my aunt was just like, "You're doing this." Like, okay, cool. And at the time I had started photographing weddings. So my husband went before me. I had a wedding that I couldn't miss on a weekend. And just with his first week in discovery, I was already seeing so many awesome changes and just a new perspective and really excited about life. And so obviously I followed right along, and it's so weird to consider my life before ChoiceCenter because it's just always been such a big part of my life. I mean, I'm 46 now, so it's been a long time, but it was one of the best decisions I have ever made. I used to tell people when I was young, it was pretty much up there with having kids and getting married. It's been that big of a decision for us and our success and just navigating this crazy world we live in.
Well, tripling your income and moving into your first studio during your 100 days is a really huge leap. What's shifted for you?
You know, when I first did the trainings, at first I was kind of skeptical. I think my husband actually took a notebook and was like, here, I'm here for class. And I just really didn't know what to expect. I was young. And then once I really got into the concepts, I think the biggest, most impactful part of Choice Center is accountability, responsibility, learning that I have control of everything and not from a negative space. We control in a lot of ways. I can be controlling in certain ways, but realizing that everything is up to me. And that was so freeing for me of like, wait, there's nothing holding me back. If I'm in control and it's up to me and I'm 100% responsible for all the results in my life, then it's up to me. And so that for us was like, let's go. We're ready. We're young. I wanted to build my photography studio. We wanted to build this life, and our leadership was just the launch pad. I mean, we threw in all the goals for that 100 days. We took it as we were playing the game of life, and that's what we did with our 100 days, and it just kept going from there.
Yeah, what were some of the goals on your PSP, and what did you create?
So it was definitely moving into my first commercial studio, which we moved in down by the airport in Vegas. It was super exciting. I actually found the pictures recently, painting the walls and hanging up my work and being able to meet clients in person. Before that, we were operating out of our home with a toddler. So it's not as professional as we wanted to be. We definitely wanted to buy our first house. We both bought new cars, tripled our income. Back then, this was, we were in our 20s and we wanted to make $20,000 in a month. We were going to be able to travel and raise our family, and we hit it like the first month. But also part of that too was really building a strong foundation for our marriage. Obviously having kids young, and him and I, high school sweethearts, we had some drama. So learning how to navigate and be with each other, that has always been evolving, still is to this day. Anyone who knows has been married a long time. It keeps going. But then also part of that too was making an impact in the world and changing people around me. So my biggest goal, I wanted my circle to be with the same mindset. So everyone we knew, everyone that worked for us, everyone that we were kind of surrounded by was doing Choice Center work and evolving themselves as well. And that meant a lot. Soon after that, we found out our son had autism. And so new challenges started to arise, and navigating with a community that was really supportive and also wanted to give back and make the world a better place. My leadership was really about continuing the work of Choice Center.
Beautiful. And when you were here and you had that photography business, and you said you ended up tripling your income, got your first studio, how did you start to put together such a big Rolodex of clients, and tell us some of who they were?
I mean, in the beginning, it was nerve-wracking. Confidence is hard when you're young, and I think I've built a lot of confidence and really just declaring stuff. So I want this, I want that, I'm going to be this, and then doing whatever it takes. A lot of times it was fake it till you make it, going in and being like, yeah, I can totally shoot that. And then going, oh shit, how do I shoot that? Figuring it out later. But, I was able to deal with a lot of stuff from my childhood and step into my power to be able to trust myself enough that I am enough. And so I grew quickly. I really discovered my talents, and I really loved it. I loved being with people. I think what you learn in Choice Center and leadership can teach you how to communicate in the world and be with people in a different way. I was able to elevate myself. We started photographing more higher end clients in Vegas, and we became the preferred photographer at Four Seasons, which really opened up a lot of doors to meeting people, which ultimately led us to photographing Steve Wynn's wedding and Tom Breitling and Vanessa. That was my favorite wedding. We got hired in 2007 to go to Lake Como, and I remember my husband and I like, oh my God, we're going to Lake Como. And he had shortly started doing video after I started photography. So it was great as a young couple. Couples could hire us to go to different destinations, and we could share a hotel, and we got to travel together. So we just really, even with young kids, got to live this cool life. We shot a wedding in Fiji under a waterfall for one of my favorite florists in Las Vegas. So we just started growing from there. And once the word gets out, it gets out there. And we were committed to being a little more photojournalistic and natural and fun and trendy. And at the time, that was when the industry was really shifting to that. So we kind of right place, right time.
Yeah, I mean, you got Dana White, Steve Wynn, Tom Breitling, just so many famous people. And I remember the Steve Wynn wedding to Andrea Hissam and how funny it was that he chose to have it on the same day as the royal wedding of Prince William and Kate Middleton, and had guests like President Trump and Hugh Jackman and Celine Dion and Garth Brooks and all that. What was that day like shooting that wedding?
I mean, it was a little chaotic. I'm not sure how much I can say on it. Beforehand, there had been some stuff leaked to the press. They went and did kind of a mock wedding at a Vegas chapel to be funny, and the chapel had sold it to TMZ. It had nothing to do with us. We weren't involved. We were supposed to have 14 to 15 on our team. And they called us and they didn't even know they wanted to do it. We were about to get the whole thing cut. We'd prepared for months. So finally, we stripped our team down to the bare minimum. I think it was me, 2 shooters, 2 other photographers, and 2 video. So 5 of us. It was supposed to be a lot more. And it was a 3-day event. It was a lot of famous people. The day before, we went to kind of scout everything out, and they'd showed me the chapel where they were going to do it at the Wynn. And the pews went all the way to the wall. So there's no aisles that you could go and get different angles. It was just back middle. And I was like, I can't do this. This is going to ruin my career. I cannot shoot this wedding like this. And so I convinced them. I had a whole enrollment conversation of, we can't do the wedding here. And the planner's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, we can't. Show me some options. And there happened to be, I forget the name, a restaurant in the Wynn that was gorgeous. And it happened to be shut down at the time. It was beautiful inside, great window light, tons of space. So that's where we moved the ceremony. Last minute, everyone kind of hated me there. How can we do this? And I looked at my husband and I was like, I have to do something. This will kill me if I have to photograph in this chapel. Like, it's just not going to work. So that happened. And then I remember the day of the wedding, we're about 10 minutes out from shooting portraits, which is always crazy. You got to shoot the bridal party and the family, and it moves really quick, especially people that are busy. They don't have time for that stuff. Like, we're not here to do a photo shoot. You got to get it really fast. That was my skill set, was direct, fast, get it done, don't miss the shot. So right before the bridal party portraits, we're getting ready, team's ready. I know that we're going to have very limited time with Mr. Wynn, like it's going to be fast. And they're like, oh, by the way, Clint Eastwood is the best man. And I'm just like, what? No one tells me this. We had, Lionel Richie perform. It was a great event, really fun. I think we've never been so challenged. I remember I used to shoot really candid, low light, black and whites. That was kind of my style. And we had notes of everybody. And I remember Eric looked over at me in the middle of the reception. And he goes, that's the guy that they had their first business deal to work on the first casino or something. He goes, get it. And I panned and, just got the shot. And from there, career just kind of kept going. BLR was pretty great in Vegas for a long time. And then we just decided that Vegas was no longer for us. Our son was getting older and diagnosed with autism. Las Vegas did not have a lot of resources for him. And so that's when we decided to move to Northern California and moved right in the middle of 2008, which right in the middle of a economic downturn. We're like, hey, let's go to the most expensive place in California.
And wasn't there a school that was specifically suited for him? It was one of the reasons you went up there?
Yes. So he attended a school up here called the Nova. It is for people on the spectrum. He was there from 4th grade until 22. Love it. He had the same teacher forever. He just aged out. But yes, that was a big reason why we came here. There's people in the special ed world that know what an IEP is. And I've lived the last 15 years at IEPs. So that was the most appropriate place for him. He just didn't do well in public school. He was being pulled out every 8 minutes, even with one-to-one aides. The system did not work for him. He needed a different learning environment, and ANOVA was great for us. And Sonoma County's been really good to us as far as for our girls as well.
So, Brittany, what was the spark behind launching Runaway With Me in 2012, I believe? Tell us about that business.
Yeah. So, as a wedding photographer and portrait photographer, when I was in Vegas, I was photographing weddings all weekend. And then I was doing about 5 to 8 portrait sessions a day, 5 days a week. I think at one point they tracked me at shooting about 100 to 150,000 images a month. I was extremely busy. When I was a young mom, I would be pumping in the car while driving to a shoot. And my mom would bring newborn baby to me while I would nurse and then go back to photographing. And I really just got tired of missing my kids on the weekends. I need something different. And I don't want to be 60 standing on a table like hugging everybody. So I was laying next to my fireplace. We were living in St. Helena in Napa at the time. And I was just like, there can be a better way. My clients had always been destination clients, whether it be Vegas or Napa Valley. And I just came up with a new idea of like, let's make it easy. Let's do a pick your destination, pick your style, show up. It's kind of evolved and changed over the years, but basically it was an all-inclusive wedding company. We're now been going for a long time. And what's great about it is I don't go to weddings anymore. I built a team and it's not revolved around me as the photographer, but I was able to bring a lot of knowledge and skill set that helped us be successful and create an easy, stress-free wedding planning solution for our couples. It was crazy. Everyone thought I was nuts when I was going to stop being a photographer. People just still think of me as that. And I haven't really picked up a camera since 2015. I tried to do my cousin's portraits over the holidays and I remember seeing him and I was like, how'd I do? Did I get anything? And he's like, I was like, well, I also didn't have glasses. Now I'm trying to learn to photograph with glasses. So it was just a vision of making things easy and doing something that did not require me to be on site.
So share with us how you built that, how you scaled that so quickly. I think it went to 2 million in revenue pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, it really is the basis of ChoiceCenter, dream, declare, deliver. And it was like, okay, even the be, do, have, like you've got to know what you want at first to put it out there to have the universe give it to you. So for me, it was like, I want to build this wedding company, this stress-free, awesome wedding company that doesn't require Brittany at the driver's seat so that I can be with my family. And it was just dream, declare, deliver, and just kept making it happen. You just put it out there and go for it. And somehow, whether you know the steps to get there, you fill in the gap. Once you know your result, where am I trying to get to? Sometimes we miss. I think one of the biggest things that I still work with my team in leadership, you're always declaring, what am I going to have happen? What's my next goal? What's my next thing? And a lot of times you miss. And one of my greatest coaches in the world, Robin, would always be like, okay, if I miss, what's in the gap? What was missing in me? What ways of being, what ways of creating what I wanted and going again? When you're coming from that place of declaring it first, being it, you're able to take the steps to get there.
Go all the way. Well, Runaway With Me is, I think, about 13 years in now. What level of success does the company enjoy today?
I mean, we're still here. So through COVID and fires and the economy, we're still here, which is amazing. We've seen a lot of vendors come and go. We really focus on intimate weddings and small groups and really about love and connection and not the big show, which is so funny because in Vegas, I was photographing the big show. That's what I did. And here I love that it's a lot more connected and we're creating moments for people that are what they want. It's on their terms. It's their rules. My two top team members, Stephanie and Kalika, are ChoiceCenter graduates. They've been with me 10 plus years and provided a life not only for myself, but for them. And they love it. We're going strong. We've had some challenges through the fires and COVID, obviously. We're launching into a whole new digital space. We're really excited. We're diving more into virtual planning and online courses for couples and just looking at the landscape of weddings in general and being able to shift and move into different ways is what we're excited about. So some new things coming this year.
Well, one of the things I hear throughout is that you seem to take the lead from ChoiceCenter and run your company, work with your employees like we did in leadership, almost like Choice Leadership. So with declarations, and we have clear offs, we have leadership by design. I hear that in your conversation about how you worked with people. How did that work for you?
I mean, to be honest, whenever we start struggling or something's missing, we go back to leadership principles. My Kalika, who does a lot of our sales, if we're down, I'm like, did you declare this month? Nope. Okay, that's what's missing. We're missing declarations. With my husband's security company, one thing, he does morning huddles with his team, like connecting where we at, what are we doing? And he was traveling last year for a couple months with our son and I was running the ship and just kind of switched it to let's talk about what we're grateful for today. And we get pretty vulnerable in our huddles and in our meetings. My husband always starts off a meeting with a good question and has people open up. And there's so many cool things about EQ that if you bring into the workplace, I think can have people feel valued, heard. They're able to be themselves, which when you're able to be that and let go of some of the stuff or the masks that we wear, I think you're able to truly access your potential and be who you want to be. Now that we're talking about it, I look at it and like we use it in so many different ways.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you talked about the challenges of losing a home and navigating COVID and things like that. So you lost your home in 2017 in the Napa fires. How did EQ prepare you to lead your family and your business through that crisis?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, because I have 3 kids and we lost our home, we had just moved. My team, Stephanie and Kalika at the time, Kalika is a leadership graduate as well. and they took the lead on the weddings. They were moving weddings. They were moving to different locations. They were on the phone. I didn't even realize we had 5 weddings that week. And because I don't go to weddings, I don't always know. Sometimes I'm like, I'll call them. They're like, we're at a wedding. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say hi. So they're working on all that while I'm obviously dealing with my kids. But we just got into go mode. I think we all came from a community perspective of just, we got to do what we got to do. And I think one of the biggest things that you learn in EQ and at Choice Center is victim mentality is not going to serve anyone. So jumping into victim wasn't going to serve us, and jumping into gratitude and community and who can we be? That is what sealed the deal for me of loving Sonoma County. Was everyone just stood up, and this was all through Facebook, and they brought shipping containers here. We were building housing units for people. I mean, we had one of his best friends come out and we built this whole chain of people, chefs, getting food for firefighters. And we just went into go mode. And I think it was the work of, just being at Choice Center. I was like, there's no room to be in victim. It was like, let's go. It's time. My team on the wedding side, they just took it and ran with it. And I know that's because of the Choice Center for them. This is what we're given, and let's go for it.
Wow. Not too long after you lost your home, then COVID hit and instantly impacted your wedding planning business. I think you had to reschedule 65 weddings. And for business owners who face major swings in income and what follows, how did you navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of enrollment conversations on the phone with people. It was like, okay, I know you're upset. I know you're angry. A lot of people obviously just want their money back. In the wedding world, that's difficult because we're all inclusive. So someone pays us deposits. We pay out deposits to small vendors. We work with a lot of women-owned businesses, a lot of small businesses where capital isn't just sitting there. We're all based on date and planning. So we were able to talk with all our vendors. And instead of just saying, all right, your wedding's canceled, we had tons of people call us and they just lost all their money with their weddings. We did not want to do that. We talked to every vendor and worked on rescheduling everything. We're like, we're just going to postpone, or you can shrink and go to weddings under 20 people. We had socially distanced weddings where we had couples tables. Only couples could sit together. I mean, my team, it was, mass, it was nuts, but there were a certain amount of people that still wanted to do it, which sometimes it's just about what you want. And it's not about all the circumstances. Some people are like, no, we want to get married. And then a lot of people, we had to reschedule. We had to talk to a lot of people and do a lot of the work for our couples. Or in traditional planning, I think a lot of the couples were having to just call all their vendors. Instead, we had a massive workload. We ended up picking up a lot, though. We actually did more events in 2020. Our revenue was significantly down, though, because it was all small weddings. So we lost a lot of money that year. But we gained a lot because people were getting married in big cities, or Italy was a big one. And we had a lot of elopements where people said, screw it, we're just going to go the two of us and say we love each other and get this thing done. So it was an interesting year.
Wow. What a navigation.
Yeah,
Great
absolutely.
job.
Absolutely. And about how long did that last? How long did it take you guys to be able to really get back to normal business practices?
2021 was the year of all the reschedules, and that wasn't till late 2021. So the fall was like all these weddings had been happening, and these couples we've now been in contact with for almost 3 years. So love you all, but on my team, we're like, okay, this wedding's got to happen. Like we've been having emails for for a really long time. And then 2022 was the boom. So that was where everyone had got engaged or, waited to have a wedding. So 2022 was just insane, crazy busy for the wedding world. And now I think it's finally coming back to normal and everyone's trying to deal with what that looks like because it's not the boom anymore.
Right. You've got 3 kids, 2 girls who are 15 and 20, and your son Kai, we've talked a little bit about today. He's 23 and autistic and nonverbal. Many of our graduates have kids who are on the spectrum or family members who are. I have a nephew who's autistic. Can you share a little bit about that journey that you've been on with Kai so that people have some insight into what that's like to raise an autistic child?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the biggest gift and it's the hardest thing I've ever done. So finding out, 4.5 that he is on the spectrum. At that point in time, he was pretty high functioning and they labeled him as Asperger's, which isn't really a term as much anymore. It's a spectrum and you've got levels. He always been so compassionate, so empathetic. I think he really feels energy different than any of us. But, it's a struggle. He's got a lot of aggression. He's had a lot of violent episodes in his life. We had to restrain him a lot when he was young. Our daughters had to be witness to that. It causes a lot of tension between two parents. I think the statistics are like 65% of parents with special needs do not make it. They're definitely divorced. It's rough. You see it one way, he sees another. My husband and I batting heads, just trying to do what's right. But at the same time, both of us carrying a lot of guilt and shame. So a lot of like, what did I do? How can I make it better? This is my fault. And you struggle between wanting to help, wanting to fix, wanting to make things better, but also just needing to accept and understand this is different than the world. There's a lot of me that believes people on the spectrum are very far ahead of us. They're done with this world nonsense bullshit where we wear masks and we fake it and we do all these things. They're just real deal. They feel everything. So it's been a struggle. He's such a big part of our lives and it's so consuming sometimes, but it's also just so humbling. My daughters, even throughout school, people just give the biggest compliments. They live differently. They are more empathetic than anyone would ever be because they've had to be. They've had to understand that sometimes he takes precedence or his needs are met before theirs, which they have their own trauma. And we've got a lot of therapy because I think there's something to be said for siblings of people on the spectrum. They go through a lot. So there's definitely some navigation there. My other daughter, she is a graduate as well. She just did her adult training last year. And both my daughters have been to teen, which I think was very powerful for them dealing with their emotions. It's a roller coaster. I think the biggest thing you can do is build community and believe in yourself and to have to revisit every year, do some personal work and just know that I'm doing the best I can, but also who do I need to be who he needs for me? Obviously, Kai's in my life and our life for a reason. And who do we need to be for him? And I think Choice Center's helped me with a lot of the trauma around it and guilt and shame and being able to own my power and believe in myself and let things go. Let things go is a big one. And I think my husband, we were chatting about talking to you guys, and he said one of his biggest things is surrender. And that's some of the biggest work we've done in EQ and Choice Center for sure.
As I listened to you, Brittany, what hit me just a moment ago was the 100% responsibility. So we have that context that we believe in, that we're 100% responsible for 100% of what we're up to, choosing all of it. And as I hear you, I hear that context. And it's like you're the best living example in the story you just shared. And you learned it all by step in, figure it out. Oh, what the heck? Do what it takes. So one question, what would you say to those brand new parents at the beginning of a journey with an autistic child?
I think one of the biggest things is don't run from it. Surrender, embrace it, get all the diagnoses you can. I think what's hard for people with children in the beginning, no matter what you find out, whether it's some type of, neurological disorder or say it's physical or anything, it's hard to hear that as a parent in the beginning. It's hard to say, wait, what? I have this big, huge thing, or my child is going to suffer more than I wanted them to, or things might be more difficult for them. But use the tools that are available. I think one of the best things we did was have Kai diagnosed. I fight for him. And honestly, when he goes to do new evaluations, I'll make sure he's hungry and tired because the world deserves help. And we need to understand these people. So it's okay. Get help, get diagnosed, have people reach out to community. I think talking to people who have been down that road, I've had so many people help me understand the steps I need to take, especially now that Kai's in his adult life. When they're younger, there's a lot through the education department that helps. And now that he's in the adult world, like he's conserved. Once something happens to me and my husband, it goes to my daughter. So plan ahead and really just talk to people who've done it. Talk to people who've been around it, because there are so many things that I did a little late or I wish I would have done sooner. But being prepared, and also just know that you have everything that person needs. You are everything that person needs. And there are times where you have to love yourself, and there are times you have to step back and take care of yourself. I'm lucky that I have a mom who really helps and takes our son a lot so that I'm able to have that time, but take time for you too, and reach out to community and network of people that can help you navigate.
I feel so proud listening to you, the way you speak about that. I've been there over the years, in and out, when the incidents are loud and lots going on. And You've always talked about your concern, like with the other kids, and listening to you today, you really have it all kind of wired in. And there's a lot of parents, I think, that are going to be supported by listening to you, and families.
I hope so. I don't think we all ever have it together, but right, we keep trying, keep going.
You sound great, Brittany. I remember you were sharing stories about Kai. And the one that always sticks with me is how he fell in love with the garbage trucks. I mean, really, all little boys like trucks and cars, right? But he fell in love with the garbage truck. And I remember you called me one morning and I said, "What are you doing?" You go, "We're following the garbage truck." And what? It was the first time I heard about it. And he just loved it. He was young. And you always said they calmed him down. You could follow them on their route. So tell us about that. I think he still watches them, doesn't he?
He does. So he's been chasing trucks since maybe 3, 4 years old. Had YouTube channels over the years. He videos. He sends us all videos. Even when he goes to see my mom, I'll call my mom and they're in the car following the trucks. He's actually got like toy garbage bins in his room and he'll do his own route. He loves the mechanic arm. On the spectrum, he loved the car wash as a kid, just watching the car wash. If it was like, "Do you want to go to the park or the car wash?" Car wash. And that's his favorite thing to watch. So yeah, he still follows trucks. He goes every Wednesday and he'll be out 7, 8 hours a day. Everybody knows him. Everybody sees him. And we're looking at starting hopefully a new business for him. There's these really cool trucks now, these trailers that clean garbage bins for you. And they have an arm, hydraulic arm, and they pressure wash. So like, you know how our garbage bins are disgusting, right?
Yes.
So recently we took him to look at some prototypes in St. George, Utah, looking to invest and hopefully create a business that can give him something that he's passionate about and loves doing. He would have someone with him as he goes and does that. But then also, you know, maybe if it is a pretty big business right now, people are really into it in different areas. My mom has it in Texas and some other people. So hopefully we could create some kind of business that maybe not only could support him, but other people like him. So that's one of our new endeavors. But yeah, with him, he's gone through struggles. So he very much understands his autism and he has to live with 2 typical sisters who are like the boyfriends, the cars, the prom, the sports. And there's a lot of times where it makes him angry. He's like, "I don't live that typical life." So he can get pretty pissed off about it. And he's very aware. It's like some people on the spectrum really could care less. For him, it does bother him. So he does struggle. He's gone through phases of being angry about his garbage truck obsession. It's a big thing for him. And so we finally are just like, no, this can be a career. This can be something great for you. You can be involved with what you love forever. Hopefully one day, like big goal, he could drive a garbage truck, actually drive the garbage truck. So, which I think is a really good profession and important in the world.
Of course.
For sure, yeah.
And
So-
I think
also the people that own the refuge, what are they called? What is the professional term for a garbage company? They make good money. That is a really good business.
Yep. It's a big business. So he's got a good buddy that he went to school with who volunteers for the recycling company up here and loves it. I see his little TikToks and he's all about it. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. It's different though. We always thought when you first have a family, we would be almost empty nesters. And, you know, Kai's probably going to be with us a while, but we're grateful to have him. And we just kind of drag him along on all our adventures. We were talking last night on our 10-year plan, and my husband and I really want to retire and just end up on a catamaran in the water somewhere. We sail a lot. And we're like, well, he gets to come with us, or we find something that he loves here.
Yeah, I love this idea of creating a business that can sustain him and give him, you know, some purpose and using his passion to build something. I think that's really, really cool. And what's something that you wish more people understood about special needs kids?
I think that some of the misunderstandings is maybe they don't feel the same. They feel so deeply. My son, I think, understands us on an energetic level more than any words could ever say. He knows when I'm off. I don't have to say anything. I think it affects his mood. And that just want to be loved and accepted like everybody else. You know, just love and acceptance and being able to know that they're cared about and that they get it more than we do a lot of the time. My son, you know, he was very verbal his whole life. He's kind of nonverbal right now in public. He can still speak fine, but he doesn't like to in public. It's more of a selective mutism type of thing. But what I try to tell people is he understands everything. He knows everything you're saying. He gets it completely. So treat him as such. You know, we're in the store the other day. He loves to go to the store with me and pick out his snacks. And I can be clear as a day. Go find me one orange. He's got headphones on. He loves music. And he comes right back with one orange. He's got it. So especially in the nonverbal world, they understand more than we think.
It sounds like your communication skills with him are amazing.
We try. We text a lot. He's great at texting. He's awesome at texting. So
That's wonderful. Let's talk about more family, Britt. Let's talk about your dad, Kerry Rogers. What I remember is online gambling. He was one of the first to do that here in Vegas, to selling Nordstrom's, their .com domain name. I remember him talking. I was there at his place with you one day, and he was talking about the internet. I didn't even know really what the internet was. It was so in the early stages. He was super ahead of his time every time I was around Kerry and anybody with your family. And then it came the unimaginable when your dad was wrongly accused in Mexico and imprisoned wrongly for 4 years. And I remember that you are a huge part of that story. Tell us about that. How did you use your EQ skills?
So it was a whole land argument, which we won't go into, but working with some people and basically got into a dispute. One party had disagreements, and my father was in Mexico and was kind of hiding out. And as this dispute's going on, and he was basically at a friend's house, and federales showed up. He was attacked. They broke his jaw, put a bag over his head. Next thing we knew, he was taken to jail. And in Mexico, really guilty till proven innocent. And he was there for a long time, and he refused to sign over the rights to this big piece of land that he was working on. So it was a big development project in La Paz, and they wanted him to give up his rights, sign everything off. There's a lot of different people involved. He was a very proud man, and he believed in what he believed in. And he was like, nope, not happening. A couple years prior to that, he had esophageal cancer and had gone through treatment and recovered and was fine. So that was when he was about 50. And then shortly after that, the Mexico thing happened. So he's in jail in La Paz. I used to have this secret Go phone that he would call me from because he didn't want to call me on my regular phone, and I'd be in the middle of somewhere and the thing's ringing and I'm like, oh my God, where are you? Okay, Dad. But he was pretty charismatic guy and pretty powerful. So not long, he had the jail just kind of working for him. He had his own lock. He locked himself in. He had kind of things running. He got people to start cleaning up and doing things right. And he created a whole system where we would send him books, and then he would give them to his cellmates that they could sell so that their wives could have more money to eat. And I was like, wait, you're selling the book? What are you talking about? He created a whole kind of system in there. He wouldn't let me go visit him. So my husband and his father went and visited him a couple times and went in, saw him, and all of a sudden they're serving him chips and salsa and some beer. And my husband's like, wait, what? How is this happening? So he was fine. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna work this out, and I'm gonna stay here till I get what I want. And at this time, there's lots of court things happening. They're battling back and forth, and he's just refusing to give up anything. So he's staying there. And then I just started noticing his voice changing over the phone. And we used to do Skype too. And I started realizing he was talking a little more raspy. Things were happening. So I called his cancer doctor, and I'm like, what is this? What's happening? And he's like, oh yeah, it's back. And so we're like, all right, we got to go down there. And my dad was a strong, proud man. He is not going to say anything's wrong. So we went down. My husband and I were just committed. We're like, we got to go see what's happening. We got to get him some help. And by the time we got down there, he was already on liquids only. He couldn't even swallow food, hadn't said anything to anybody. And he's just on a liquid diet, lost a lot of weight. And because of ChoiceCenter and what we learned, that we can do anything we declare, really, we're like, we're getting him out. He's got to get help. He's got to get to a hospital. And my husband and I went to see the judge and basically begged and pleaded that he needed to go to a hospital. He needed to get out. He was going to die in there. He was not eating solid foods. And so I think it was within 24 hours that I had been down there that we got him released, and he was taken to the local hospital, which we were able to be with him. I was able to lay in his bed and stay with him. We did have guards with machine guns. I still look back at the whole thing and it's just wild, like wild. And so my dad, I remember him cracking a joke because he never had let me come down. He'd let my husband and my father-in-law go see him, and he just didn't want me in that environment at all. And he's like, well, had I known you'd get me out, I would have let you come along. And unfortunately, it was a little too late. But I remember that moment of us walking in to the judge and just knowing that there's no other option. We're making this happen. And my husband and I just declared it and went in and had it happen. And from that, he never actually went back. He went to the hospital, then they kept fighting. And I think the term limits in Mexico, it is like a 4-year thing. If they can't convict you after 4 years, then you're finally free. So he went to stay at his buddy's house in La Paz, and Eric stayed with him. I got really sick. I had to go home, and our youngest was 2 at the time, and I was losing weight. I was really sick from something down there. And my husband got to be with him. We got the notice. He was not convicted. It was all over. But at that point, the cancer had spread everywhere. So flying was a challenge. And he also didn't have his little return. You know, when you go to Mexico, you get the little card that you have to return through customs. So he's like convinced he can't. He's like, I am going back legally. And we're like, let's just get you back, get you to a good hospital. So I was actually returning. My husband had been with him for a month and loved my husband for that. He stayed and took care of him and was just there for him the whole time. I flew back. I remember I was flying over Mexico City and just felt this overwhelming sadness, just started bawling and got off the plane. I had 2 cases of Ensure because at that point he was on a stomach tube. And my husband picked me up. We were in the car and he got a call and said they're on their way to the hospital. And within 2 days, he passed in La Paz. We couldn't get him home and they didn't have the medical technology to help him. But we fought till the end. We were fighting the embassy. We were on YouTube. We were doing all kinds of stuff. And I really, really think the only thing that gave me the strength, the courage, and like the tools is my leadership work and coaching at Choice Center, going through leadership a bunch of times, just gave me that structure of I can do anything and also really grieving and getting over it too and accepting what had happened. It was probably the most traumatic thing in my life ever. Still sits there with me, but it's just things are what they are. And all I have is my reaction and who I am about it after the fact. So am I a victim of it or can I look at it? Really, I remember within the first couple of years looking at the lessons that were so awesome from that. He died on Good Friday in the hospital and a bunch of women came and they're praying over him in Spanish. My husband and I are like, what is happening? Who are these people? And they were all his cellmates' wives. And he had made such an impact for so many of them that they're at the hospital and we're just like, what is happening? And I realized that was his journey. That was his path. And he made a difference with so many people on such a small scale in a prison. But it just made me look back at like things that I might think matter so much. There's other things that can matter more or make a difference with people. So I love that I get to look at the lessons gained from that whole experience.
And you know, Brittany, you have always had this attitude all the way through. Of course, I saw you really consistently. And all the way through, you had an amazing attitude. And all the way through, you stood for your dad at every point where there was something that could be done different or you were going to try. You were relentless. So I look at you between having your beautiful kids and, of course, with Kai and this story with your dad. There's nothing you can't handle. There's just nothing. It's like a fire takes you home, get the animals out. And other than that, like you just step into any crisis. Like if I'm getting on the Titanic, I want you next to me. That's for sure. Your development of what is and acceptance and how to do your best is unbelievable. I'm really so proud of you listening to you today.
Well, girl, you know, you've gotten me through a lot of it personally, you personally.
Thank you. I'm so proud of you listening to you. And it's why your kids are thriving because when we all have adversity, you have extreme adversity in this whole picture you've shared and you share it gracefully and eloquently and people can learn from you. You're not dramatic. You're just, this is what is. And you're teaching people we can handle anything. We humans we are very resilient. We learn that in training and everything can have a completion and a what's next. And you're a living example of that. Your husband, Eric, is your high school sweetheart. You guys have been together for a long time. And he's LV41. You two both took the Abundance and Prosperity course twice with Chris Lee. Are there any advantages to taking trainings with those you love? What would you say those advantages are?
Well, we've done a handful of trainings together. We've coached together multiple times. A lot of times, you guys know when the Hansons roll in, we all roll in and we're like half the training. But yes, Abundance, especially for Eric and I, the first time around, it was really great to come up with a vision together for our life and just declaring and really focusing on what we want for our future and being able to be vulnerable together and be exposed. You know, the trainings have a great way of, I think, getting to a present open space that it's difficult in our normal lives. We all have our walls. We all have certain things we hold back on. And I think any of the trainings at Choice Center is such a great space to just be authentic and be you. And you're with a group of like-minded people who all want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's also a committed time to make those conscious choices. So I think a lot of times we put off things or we're distracted. And what I love about spending a weekend in a Choice Center room or a training is like, I'm here to focus on my life. I'm here to focus on whatever it is, whether it's relationship, whether it's working on something. I remember after my dad passed, me coming back to the first training, I knew it was going to be rough. I knew a lot of this stuff I'd been stuffing down. It's time to deal with it. And with my husband and I, every weekend that we've ever spent at Choice Center, it's that personalized focused time where we both know we are committed to the best version of ourselves and our next steps in our life. You stop the world for a little bit and you get to take that time to focus on what's next for you. And abundance, we did a whole, you do like 5-year mapping, you talk about a lot of things and what you want to create. And we save all of our notebooks, all of our workbooks. Thank God, I want to say it was probably 2011, maybe. I'm going to say was one of our first ones, 2010. I could be wrong, but I know by like 2015, 16, that we had created everything in our journals, everything, like the income we wanted, the boat, the car, the spending time with our kids. My husband's awesome. We do vision boards every single year on New Year's. And we've always got the cluster of like more time with the kids or the next big step we want to take. This weekend, he wants to work on our next 10 years. And a lot of those tools we get from what we've done at Choice Center. And I highly recommend a lot of workshops. If you can go with a loved one and you're working on things coexisting and the life you want, it can be really powerful. Relationships training has saved our marriage a couple times. Highly recommend.
As it does for many, absolutely.
So, Brittany, as we start to wrap up our episodes, we like to play a game of EQ quickfire questions with our guests. Are you ready for your EQ quickfire?
Sure.
So, you are an AI power user. Tell us what large language models you're using and how they're supporting you to 10x your productivity with your team.
Yeah, so a big fan of ChatGPT. I started working in Operator though recently where I can actually have Operator take over and do my emails and control my computer. Super shocked though that it can actually get into my CRM and do things on my own personal, like smaller CRM, which isn't like a big known thing. Also love working with Claude as well. Perplexity with my Armor security team. They work a lot in Google Workspace. So we do use Gemini a bit there and helping people. But for me, like I constantly have business ideas all the time. And what I've found though is with AI and machine learning, I can actually navigate how to execute on those ideas and how to structure it and give me an actual plan. Also, just in everyday life where I'm super ADHD, I'm all over the place. I'm the one with like 300 tabs open. And I love to use AI for like helping me organize my life, helping me learn new things, give me a structured lecture plan when I'm trying to learn something new. I love learning new softwares. I'm learning to work with bubble.io, no coding software. So like I use AI to structure everything to teach me how to do it, which helps me because otherwise sometimes I feel I'm just like, what next? And then my team essentially to training them to make things faster for them, whether it's on email, content writing, blog writing, going in and writing meta tags. I do a lot of SEO stuff too. So going in and working on our SEO projects, really helpful on that front as well. And honestly, a lot of research with my son and my kids. I'll research things and do deep dive research and ask questions and find ways to look at things differently and find solutions. Or I just think it's magic. I'm all in.
I love it too. I love it too.
I'm excited to learn from you. I'm excited about that. What's the most surprising thing that AI has solved for you in your business or your personal life?
Oh my God. I was staying up at our lake house in Oregon and it was a fire alarm somewhere, like a beeping. And like you open it and there's no battery to change and it's just keep beeping. And I'm by myself and I'm like, oh my God, there has to be a way. And I ChatGPT'd, I kept going and I finally figured out it was a hidden battery source. And I figured out how to stop it, which is the stupidest thing. But at 2:00 in the morning, when you have something beeping and you're just like, oh my God, make it stop.
Crazy.
And like Google wouldn't have done it. I couldn't Google it. You couldn't get there. It was problem solving. So that was probably my most exciting. Oh, and I did help a good friend get out of jury duty.
Love this. Go ChatGPT.
That'll be a popular one.
And Brittany, you are a world famous photographer to the stars. And for those of us who are the amateurs, I have heard you over the years talk about how there are so many functions on our iPhones that would allow us to take better pictures. But as the amateur, we don't always know what we're doing. What's a iPhone tip or two you could give us to take better pictures?
I feel like I'm not as caught up with the new phones, which I have the new one, and the cameras are just insane. I'll stand next to my photographer and sometimes get just a good shot. But definitely portrait mode is always a good one. Using your lighting, the little arrow you can scroll down and like overexpose or underexpose. So you can change your lighting. That's a big one. A lot more from the content side of things. Use your back camera to photograph yourself, not your forward, not your, I'm staring at my phone, but you turn it that way at you. And then there's a ton of TikTok videos that totally tell you how to use an iPhone. So I would recommend that. But yeah, I'm kind of lost my touch. Definitely not the photographer Brittany anymore.
Yeah, my mom and I were in Peru, and we got a chance to walk around Cusco with a National Geographic photographer, and that's what they were teaching us was how to use the iPhone. And one of the biggest things that made a difference, it was so simple, like you'll laugh, but it was just putting the grid on
Yeah.
and learning to use the
The 2/3.
two-thirds of the, yeah, I'm like, oh my
Yes.
gosh, like in seconds that made this huge difference, so I love asking real photographers, like, what can I do better on my phone? Because little things can make a big difference.
Yeah, totally.
I remember when you came back, Corrine, and you'd had that pro photography class, and we did it in Napa, actually. We were up in your neighborhood, Britt, and she was teaching me how to use it. It was amazing. And you are a world traveler, Britt. So what's the latest hot spot that we should all have our eye on?
So we love sailing in the Caribbean. We just got back from the British Virgin Islands. So one of our favorite spots, we have a 4-cabin catamaran down there, and we just took family. But one of the coolest spots is called Soggy Dollar. So you can get there by boat, but you swim in. It's called Soggy Dollar because you swim in basically and go get a cocktail on the beach. But it is like the most beautiful white sand beaches. There's another spot in the USVI, the US Virgin Islands. It's called Lime Out, and it's super cool. It's a floating taco bar, so you're in like a raft
Oh my
in
gosh.
the water, and they float you your tacos. We just got back, so that's one of my favorite spots for sure.
It sounds
Oh
amazing.
my gosh.
You and I were in Journey Within 4 together. We were in the same
were.
power group. What an experience. What would you tell others? We have another journey coming up in July. What would you tell people who are considering going to Journey Within?
I loved it. My husband absolutely loved it. He went before me, and I think it really brought a lot of peace and new perspective. It's definitely a little bit more spiritual, which I really enjoyed. And also just the reflection, the reading, the connection with people, but on a very calm, kind of meditative level, I guess, how to, how to say it. But
Well said.
yeah, I think it's just a different offering that you guys have that is really cool and enlightening. I think we get caught up even with Choice Center too, and like being so motivated and all these goals. Sometimes I forget to just stop and be. And part of Journey Within is really just about being with everything that is. And that is such a valuable place to be. So,
You know what? Journey Within, any graduate who has taken Journey Within, it is their favorite training. This one we have coming up on the 25th is already filling up very fast. We're very excited. For me, it's the training. They are all fabulous, as we all know, and we're talking about so much today. You've really guided your life in these trainings, and it's come through in such a beautiful way. Journey Within just seems to have everything covered. Like no matter why you're there and what you're up to, and like you say, goals versus beingness, it does have the spiritual side for those that look at the lens through spirituality. It just has a little bit of everything, and it also is so sustainable. What would you say today is the number one thing about Journey that comes to mind that's still with you so deeply?
yeah, shadow work. And I think it's a big thing that is becoming more normal.
Yep.
My 20-year-old talks about shadow work. She's got a shadow work journal. It's totally normal. It's not something to be weird about or hide from. But that for me was the most important part, was doing some deep shadow work.
I would totally agree. And isn't it wonderful that the world is teaching it? Because it is, well, for me, it's in the top 3 tools that I've ever received in transformational work. What about you, Corrine?
Yeah, for sure. And just that power of, you mentioned earlier that your husband was saying one of the tools he uses the most is surrender. And for me, that was also one of the things. Just learn, that when things are happening, just go with it. Don't fight it. Life is happening for us, not to us. And just surrender, because maybe it's coming at you so that you're pointing yourself in a different direction, or you get an opportunity to take yourself to a new place or explore something that you haven't before. So that was one of my favorite things. And you have those power group meetings. And I remember Journey was the only training when I went to work for Steve Wynn in Macau for 3 years. And I came back, it had started while I was gone. And so it was the only training I'd never taken when I returned. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to have these power group meetings every week. And then it turned out to be the thing I looked forward to the most it was Monday nights. I still remember that. I really appreciated you because I had such a connection to the training. So I was often in that mode of coaching, supporting others. And you would always be the one that were like, oh, no, 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 no. You're not getting away with this. Like, you tell us what's really going on in your life and what are you being confronted by and what do you get to surrender to? And I just always have never forgotten that. And I was like, wow, that's really cool that you were willing to just not let me off the hook. And really that's what created the deepest value for me in that training. So I appreciate you for that.
Oh, love you. Thank you. You're always out there just giving the best coaching and giving to everyone else. And I don't know Choice Center without you. So you've been there for me a million times.
That was a great training to take with you.
Wasn't Maureen and Maynard in that?
Yeah, they were in our
Weren't they on
power
your
group
team?
too.
I
We
thought
had
Yeah.
the
so.
best
Yeah.
power group.
Oh my
You
God,
really
we did.
did.
And we had this really young, wasn't she a gymnast or something? Her name was Lily, I think.
Yes.
And, she was in there with all of us who were total type A, always like just jumping in. And sometimes we'd have to encourage her to speak up. And she was always the one who would drop the biggest bombs that would blow your mind. She
Always.
was quiet, but just deadly. Like all of a sudden she'd just say something and we just all just stop and we just have to think about it and let it in. And we were like, you don't get how powerful you are. This is amazing. She was remarkable. Yeah, we had a really good power group.
We did.
It's a training that does seem to be everybody's favorite. What I love about it, it's the only vehicle I'm aware of that you can dive so deeply into. We all have resistance. We as human beings are born in and live in resistance. And I never learned how to shift my resistance. And that's one of the key facets of journey. And life is completely different once we understand to recognize it, first of all, and then the choices we have so that we can stop needing to look good or be right or all the survival conversations that live around resistance. I'm not aware of a vehicle as powerful as Journey that teaches us how to live with that. So I'm glad we've all shared that for sure.
Awesome.
What is the secret to your sustainable marriage over nearly 25 years with your high school sweetheart, Eric?
Oh, okay. I wasn't ready for this question. He's actually right here with me. Hey, hi,
I'm
Eric.
on the screen with you. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, so good to see you.
It's a
Oh my God,
great
wasn't
question.
Eric? Yes. And wasn't Eric one of the coaches in our journey? Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
It's a great
We had
coach.
Eric in there, and then your brother and your dad. That was a full journey of Hansons.
It was. We tend to do that.
I know we come in big crowds.
It was a blast. It was a blast. And Khalil was with you guys too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. So you two, what would you say the secret to sustaining a marriage for 25 years is?
I bet we
Especially
have
when you meet
different
when you're in
answers.
high school.
I bet we have different answers, but
You go first.
okay. Well, I think for me, just because I come from weddings and you hear all the toasts and everyone always says like, never go to bed angry. I actually disagree. So sometimes for me, I need space and reflection to be able to come back and be like, whoa, okay. And taking responsibility, which is so much of what we learned at Choice Center, taking responsibility for not only, 50%, but 100%. You've got to jump in all the way. So that would be my answer.
For me, Choice taught me a lot of life lessons, and one of them is just being accountable. I take every argument we get into, I always look at my part. The only way out is if we really both take accountability. At least I learned to do that and self-reflect a lot. And then through the journey and coaching journey as well, I learned to just surrender. Men and women are totally different in many ways. And sometimes I just gotta be like, okay, just surrender. Okay. Obviously important to you, maybe not to me, but I surrender to whatever you need sometimes, and it works. Puts a smile on her face, and then I'm happy too.
It is so incredible. I'm so glad you were home, Eric, to be able to jump in. It's so incredible to see the both of you. It's been so many years, and we're talking about surrender and resistance and marriage, and everybody's got that. Everybody will be coming to the screen on this one. You two have been incredible partners in the work of transformation. And you started pretty young. You've enrolled maybe hundreds of people as a family. And as coaches, you two have made a difference for so many families, so many people in your many, many, many times of being in service. It's so fun to have you here together to say this too, because I've coached you myself as a couple and individually. And in rooms we've worked together, and the creations and the kids as they came and the families. It's just incredible to sit here and hear it all come through today. So thank you for your vulnerability and for your authenticity and honesty. And I don't know, I think you guys are going to be role models of the year for us.
For sure. And while we've got Eric, Britt said She's got her team running Runaway With Me so that she can also support you with the security business. So tell us about the security business and what you're building.
Boy, I used to run my father's security business, and then we left there and started other businesses, started a family. And then when our house burned down, I was kind of at a crossroads in 2017 and just reflected on life. And I thought, maybe let's go back into security. And I wanted to do it in a way that I left my mark. And, on my deathbed, I could say that I did something good for the world or for people. And so it's an industry that a lot of integrity and pride has been lost. The Paul Blart movies and stuff like that. In my opinion, security, like the job that we do, is a small part heroic and honorable. And so I built this company based on just treating people right and taking care of my people. And it's grown. We've got about 300 employees at this point. We just won the Best of the North Bay for security and investigations. We won the runner-up for best place to work in all of Northern California. And it just all started with just taking care of people and focusing on taking care of your employees and treating them with respect. And so it's been a wild ride. We just had a merger, and we partnered up with our biggest competitor locally. And so now we've joined forces. That just happened last week. And so it's been a wild ride. It's been super difficult. I've grown by leaps and bounds. It's challenged me in every possible way. And I will say we use a lot of choice, verbiage, and ideals in our leadership. And it's bled out through our employees. And a few of them have actually gone to choice. And so we can talk the talk and get down to the nitty gritty really quick. It's been a wild ride.
Wow. Yeah. 20 years looking back since when you were here in LV41 and 42. That is really amazing. And is the security business, is it more about supporting corporations? Is it individual security? Tell us what it is.
So mainly we do contract security work, and it's usually long-term contracts for factories and government buildings and shopping centers, HOAs. I mean, it's all across the board. We've got about 65 contracts from schools to you name it.
Nice. Well, if anyone needs security or to plan a wedding, you guys want to give a plug to your companies?
Yeah, come on, let's put it out.
Armorist.com. Runawaywithme.com. It's kind of funny because we share offices. When we first merged our offices, we have a mannequin with a security uniform on to show what it would look like, and my girls put a veil on it.
That's so great. We may need a picture of that.
I love it.
It is a little bit sometimes oil and vinegar. It's very masculine, very feminine in the same office, but somehow make it work.
Yes.
I love it.
Do you two remember from 21 years ago or so, 22 years ago, what your contracts are?
Hell yeah. I am
What
a
is it?
powerful, passionate, responsible woman.
Yes, you are.
I'm a powerful, passionate man. I only had two.
Powerhouse, absolute powerhouse. You guys are adorable. Thank you so much. You have made my day. Sitting and hearing you about the last 21 years, you have totally presenced why we do what we do. So thank you.
We love you, Rob.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
This wouldn't have been the path that we lived in the last 2 decades without it. And it's been a great ride. It's saved our marriage. It's saved our family. I'll talk for myself, and me as an individual, and kept my sanity and had me push through obstacles and trials and tribulations through raising a family and a child with special needs and multiple businesses. It's taken everything combined to get through this. They'll have a smile on their faces.
Thank you.
Bye, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So, Brittany, as we end each episode, we invite our guests to create an EQ stretch challenge for our listeners to complete in between the launch of our weekly shows. So, if you are going to create a stretch challenge for listeners, maybe something that's helped you move through all the different life experiences that you've had, or goal setting, or expanding themselves to take on things that they didn't think were possible, what comes to mind for you to offer our listeners as a EQ stretch?
Okay, so I get to create a stretch?
You do.
You do.
All right, well, can I do this around AI for the people that are scared to use AI?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, yeah. So I would say, one, if you have not used AI, to jump onto ChatGPT or Gemini if you have Gmail and ask it to actually give you some challenges to do an AI. So give me some tasks to do an AI. I ask AI a lot what it can do for me. So you could do that. But then if you have used AI and you are comfortable with it, I really believe that we are never done learning. So have AI, whatever model you use, Pick something that you just know you want to learn and you've been avoiding, and have it give you a plan, whether it's a small thing or a bigger thing, but have it give you a strategy and a plan to start actually doing that. And whether you're saying, you know, I'm going to dedicate 10 minutes of my mornings to learn this new skill or to learn this new concept or to learn about something, and have AI create that plan for you.
I love that. And I'm going to take that on. I'm going to have AI teach me how to do AI.
There you go.
I've been wanting to learn. Now you just gave it to me.
This
Was
is
that okay,
fantastic.
Corinne?
Oh, that was wonderful. It's perfect. We haven't had a stretch
Perfect.
challenge like that, and it's ideal. It's perfect. It's
Cutting
great.
edge. Brittany, is there anything we haven't asked you that you want to share with our community as we begin to wrap?
So like you've said, we've had a lot of people go to Choice Center after us that we've enrolled in going. And I think one of the coolest things that still happens is I get a Facebook message or I get a thank you. And the reality of how many lives I helped change and put people on the path that they wanted to be on, or navigate really difficult times of their life. And I just think it's really cool that I got one, I think couple months ago. My friend Celine, she reaches out and she still, no matter what, we'll always come back to Choice Center topics and basics. Choice Center gave me a way to give back to the world that felt right for me, if that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense to me. I feel the same way you do.
Yep. Yeah. How would you describe it? If someone was going to ask you, well, what is Choice Center? What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really it's a free open place where you can go and explore all the things that stop you, what stands in your way, and how to access the better parts of yourself to be who you want to be in this world. And, you know, to cut out the noise and really get down to work of like, what am I up to and what stops me and who do I need to be to overcome that?
I have a question for you. When you're about to enroll somebody, I know you're very skilled at enrolling. Everything in your life is around the art of enrolling, as we all learn at Choice Center. What is your superpower question that you like to start with people?
I think one of the questions is where are you stopping in your life? You know, where are you holding back? Where are you saying, oh, I really wish someday that could happen for me? Or where are you not like really considering something that you think you can't have, or you think is too unattainable for you? That's definitely a big one for me.
Great questions, Britt. Thank you.
And let's see, I have one more. We get asked all the time if this training is sustainable. You're somebody who did it literally 21, 22 years ago. What would you say about the sustainability of the training?
Absolutely. It's 100% sustainable. You got to put in the work though. It's like everything else. You know, if you just one and done, forget it and don't apply the principles, then obviously, you know, it's a little bit more challenging. But if you do the work and hold true to the principles, there's so much to be gained from it. And I think even over long periods of time, able to look back and see even more so now how valuable it was, probably more than when I first finished, even though it was mind blowing and I was so empowered and inspired. And I mean, I just felt like I was on top of the world, on fire. But looking back now, 20 years later, going, wow, that really was one of the most impactful things for me in my entire life.
Brittany, thank you for being here today with us. You are absolutely pure inspiration to hear how you've gone through all these years and layers, your children, your businesses, your family. Thank you for being an inspiration for all of us. And you really do remind me of exactly why I'm here and why I chose to step into this career change when I did it. And I am so grateful to hear just in your family and in your circle, the immense, almost immeasurable value that you have created for yourself and everything in your family's lives. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being on this journey with us for so many years, and just your partnership and keeping the work moving forward, and especially for your friendship in Journey Within, and just always calling me forth to be my biggest version of me. And you and Eric, truly inspirations, and we're gonna go try these tips on our iPhones. So, and with AI.
Oh my gosh, thank you guys so much. I love you both forever. I love being part of Choice Center, and I'm so grateful for all that you two do in the world. So thank you so much for talking with me today, and love you guys.
Thank you. We love you. I love you, Britt.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
New episodes of EQU release every Tuesday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, and ChoiceCenter.com. See you next week.